Hello! Today we are going to learn about perspective, specifically linear perspective, which allows us to better understand and learn how to draw a three-dimensional space like the one you see here in the photograph. So this is a photo of a long hallway, a school hallway. You can see the lockers and the doorways, the tile floor and the tile ceiling. But really any three-dimensional space can be drawn when you understand how to use linear perspective. So I'm going to break it down for you in some real simple steps. The very first thing that you have to understand in order to use linear perspective is what a vanishing point is. A vanishing point is that spot way off in the distance where things seem to disappear. So if we look at the photograph, for instance, we follow the hallway walls and floor back to the back wall. And basically, at that point, if we were outside, that would be the horizon line. That would be where the ground and the sky come together. But since we're inside, they end at the back wall. That's where everything seems to converge or meet. Back there in this case in the middle of the page, because this is one point linear perspective, so everything comes to a single point. So how do we use it? Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to establish a vanishing point. Now you're going to want to follow along with the notes page that I've given you that is entitled How to Start a One-Point Perspective. And the very first line item there I've already given you the answer for. It says establish vanishing point. And there are two little sub-points. It says we want to be towards the middle of the page, but the placement depends on your location. If you are right, it's going to go right. If you're left, it's going to go left. If you are high, it's going to go high. If you're low, it's going to go low. So if you sit down, the room looks different than if you stand up on a ladder. Okay? So we're going to do that. We're going to imagine that we are sitting on the ground in this three-dimensional space. So it's going to be towards the middle, but a little bit low. And I'm going to say I'm going to move over to the right a little bit. This is going to just make for an interesting and a little bit dramatic illusion. So there's my vanishing point. So what's step 2? Well, step 2 is to draw an X. Well, this isn't going to be a traditional X. This is actually going to be 4 separate legs of an X rather than 2 crisscrossing ones. The 4 legs of the X will have to meet up at the vanishing point, and the 4 legs of the X must go to the 4 corners of the page. So let me show you what that's going to look like. Here's my vanishing point. Here's a corner. I'm going to put my pencil down. So I know I'm lined up over there, then I just have to line up over here using my left hand to hold that straight edge in place. Actually, I'm using a T-square, which I'll talk about here in a minute. Vanishing point right through the corner. So, what is a T-square? Well, it's a little bit different than a ruler, and then it has this extra end on it, and you'll see that it meets the straight edge part at a 90 degree or a right angle. So that's the square part. The T square is partially named because it looks like a T. When I use a T-square, I can use the T part to line up with an edge of a page, and then I know for certain that the line I'm drawing is perpendicular to that edge. So if I'm lined up vertically, I can draw a true horizontal line. If I'm lined up horizontally at the top, now I can draw a vertical line and know that it's a true vertical and not just have to guess or estimate. Okay? So we now have step 2 completed. What is step 3? Step 3 is to draw a box. Well, really we're drawing a rectangle, but I'm going to call it the box. The sides of the box must be parallel to the sides of the page. That's where the T-square will come in. And the 4 corners of the box have to intersect with the 4 legs of the X. That sounds confusing, but I'm going to show you what that actually looks like here in just a sec. All right, the box that I'm going to draw is going to be back here near the vanishing point, and it's going to represent the furthest back wall of this space that I'm creating. Now, in this long hallway, that back wall is relatively small. If you're in a smaller space, then that back wall will be larger, therefore my box can be a little bit larger. I have to use my T-square to make sure that my verticals are vertical, parallel to the side of the page, and that my horizontals are horizontal. So here we go. Come near the vanishing point, line up to the top or bottom of my page, and then I'm going to draw a line from one leg of the X to another. Now remember, I stop when I get to that next leg because the corners have to align to that leg. So here we go. I'm going to come now and do my vertical line, and I did that by rotating my T-square, lining up with where I left off, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line until I get to that next leg of the X. Now I can either turn it up and down, this way or this way, doesn't matter. Same thing will happen. Line up with the T with the bottom, come right to where those 2 lines intersect each other, hold the pencil nice and straight up and down, and stop at the next leg of the X. And if all went well, then I should be able to pull that off. Now, uh-oh, we got a problem. They don't line up. How do I fix that? What is the problem? Well, I have to back up and I have to ask myself, where did I get off? If my corners aren't matching up, something went wrong. So I go back to step 1. Step 1 is fine. Go back to step 2, that X. Remember, one of the rules said that the 4 legs of the X must go through the 4 corners. Well, let's look closely here. What do you notice? I missed. Not by a lot, but I did miss. And that little bit threw things off. Let's see if I can fix that. So I'm going to leave my lines in place for just a minute on my box and see what happens if I get this leg of the X in just the right spot. There's my vanishing point. Now, I need to get right through the corner. Right through the corner and right through the vanishing point. Now what happens, okay? If I draw this guy back in, and I draw this guy back in, with the X in the right spot, guess what? It works. Now, my corners align. The top and the bottom of my box are parallel to the top and the bottom of the page. Left and right side are parallel to the sides of the page. All is well with the inverse. So, don't get in a hurry. Take your time. And if your corners miss, don't just slant a line. Go back, figure out where you got off, and fix it. Okay, good luck.